Yeah.
Hello, everybody. This is Preston Poulter here with Pocket Jacks Comics, and according to my dashboard, I am still gaining subscribers, and I don't know how that's possible, given that I don't really upload anything here anymore. But welcome. We have an exciting writers group tonight. We got some more pages here from John for Dragon Warrior Rewrite 6. Isn't that like Rewrite 6 or something?
Yeah, we're up to version 6 now.
Okay.
Is it really version 6, or is it just a completely different version 1, like the last 3 times?
No. It's
still Dragon Warrior Mark
6.
Yeah.
Still the first 10 pages. It's just
the
the
sixth
sixth
iteration
rewrite
of
of the first 10 pages.
Right. So, can't wait. Hopefully, the femme fatale will be more apparently evil, as opposed to just embracing nakedness, which I still appreciate. All right, I've pulled the trigger here on Palace of the Golden Princess. Once again, nominating the fabulous Danny as editor, and the question is there an art? So I'm going to take you through the emotional arc here. We have the magic spell that allows Viviax her sway over everybody has been broken, and now our sexy knights can't get real big and appeal to certain male fetishes, and there was a lot of lamenting about that, and so our main folks are on a quest to go and find and do. And while they're there, they're in a forest, and then to try and showcase. And again, I was surprised last time that I had to explain to you that the main character of my story is not exactly what you would consider a good and noble person, because she serves a very evil empire. And so what I was doing was showing, now that we're away from prying eyes, perhaps, in the forest, and now that evil was in and of itself, that the party would kind of turn on itself. And that's, kind of go back to, well, who's the stronger, which is Edmund. So to me, it was fine in that, Thora is sitting here barking out the queen's orders, and Edmund's like, screw it, I'm going to sleep. And then they have an initial conflict over that, which escalates, and Edmund demonstrates that, without your magic, you are nothing. And, kind of sad moment. And then he goes to sleep. And then the question is, should Thora kill Edmund or not? And I feel that, no, that is absolutely not going to happen, nor should it happen. I won't entertain that. But I will allow some justification as to maybe why she won't kill Edmund. So if the forest needs to be more obviously dangerous to get the audience to emotionally agree with Thora's decision, then so be it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that sounds like a very good summarization of what we were discussing last time.
Right. And we're still discussing it. So
here is one thought.
Okay.
You mentioned about Thora being a morally compromised person.
Yes.
So something did occur to me as you were doing that recap. Even though she works for an evil empire,
yes,
she has not at this point done specifically done anything morally compromising.
That
correct?
We know of. I mean, she hasn't done it on screen.
That
the audience knows.
The audience are aware of.
Right.
So, which harkens back to, so there's a few things that occurred to me when you were doing that. So,
okay.
One, we as human beings, and typically as good people, tend to see the heroes of stories as good people unless they demonstrate that they are not good people.
Right.
I think that is part of where, and I think we have a built-in cognitive dissonance where I think even though she's working for an evil empire, because we have not seen her do anything specifically evil, I think we don't entirely connect her to that. If I can talk about one of my stories that you're not as familiar with, when I did my vampire story, Blood Feud, my main character is a vampire. He is not a good guy. He works for an evil empire. But I made sure that there are very specific scenes in the beginning where he does things that are morally compromising. They come across a vampire attacks a guy in a street, and he doesn't call his boss. He works for the police force. He doesn't call his boss. They immediately cover it up. It's morally compromised. We see him kill an innocent person very near the beginning. The moral compass character that we are introduced to, who works for the police department, who doesn't realize that he's actually working for an evil empire. When he finds out that he is working for the evil empire, he is killed by our main character to constantly remind the audience that he is not a good character. So I think because you don't have anything like that in your story, I think that might be where part of that cognitive dissonance is occurring, so we don't necessarily see her as an evil person.
Right.
And at the same time, I think because if we do see her doing anything borderline evil...
Wait. I got it. Okay.
Well, I was going to get into the redemption arcs. If you were intending to do a redemption arc with her,
right.
The other thing is that even though we meet somebody who isn't quite that bad, even though they're kind of sort of bad, we typically don't see them do anything super bad, because then we won't believe the redemption arc that we want this character to go through. So that's why typically in a movie, I can't think of one, but you wouldn't have your character that's going to go through a redemption arc necessarily rape a child in the first 10 minutes of a movie to show that he's because he's a bad guy.
I concur.
We won't do because that would just...
These are things you should not do. Yes, I agree.
Right. So as a character, that immediately crosses him off the list of moral redemption. So I think we kind of, even if we see her do something bad, like she kills somebody or robs somebody, we might still be like, okay, well, there's a redemption that they're going to play into it.
Hold on.
Depending on if you want to do it
I got an idea. Okay. All right. So what if they're riding into the forest, and by the side of the road is this adorable little kitten drinking from a saucer of milk, and Gretchen goes to pet the kitten, but Thora shoots the kitten through the heart when they're blah, blah, but the kitten transforms into an evil doppelganger, and a battle ensues when Thora cuts its head off, and she's like, don't trust the kittens in this damn forest. And then
are you writing a comedy?
You didn't like
I'm
that?
not gonna let him. Don't worry.
Okay. I thought. Look,
it sounds hilarious.
She's killing a cat, therefore she's a bat. We now communicate to the audience because the audience understands cat logic, and she did a bad thing to a cat. But then she'll give you the justification because that was a doppelganger. Don't let the adorable cuteness fool you. We're dealing with evil here.
But then we don't see her as doing something evil.
Because
she had a moral reason.
We're gonna
like
pause
if we cut back to the first scene and she's walking in the alley with her constable and she's hanging kittens on spikes before she runs into the guy and walks him back, that'd be totally different.
Okay.
So I mean, but of course, kittens on spikes was always your thing.
Yes. All right, Danny, what you got for him?
Okay, so
all right.
Thora's arc is nowhere near a redemption arc because she doesn't do anything really, good or bad, in the first issue.
Right, correct.
Well,
her
redemption's not going to be the first issue.
Now is the passive vehicle of an adventure who is about to make a decision that may or may not be good. That is the end. That is the crux of the first issue. Do you want to murder this guy with the magic fairy horse? Yes.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yes. Decision, and we're deferring that decision to issue 2.
Right.
Issue 1 is meant to establish the world. It successfully establishes that Thora is a person who fights stuff. Thora hasn't really left the city. The city's in danger. The city's full of evil magic witches. Thora is not independently authoritative or a competent, confident figure and relies on magic in order to have any strength whatsoever.
Right.
And now Thora is stuck trying to lead on her own and is in trouble, and she is failing.
Yes.
The context in which she is failing is a magic forest full of ostensibly danger. So really, the only question that you answered in the last revision, which John and Larry haven't seen, is there danger in the forest? I'm glad you answered that question and that the answer is yes. Right. So now, for context, the walking through the forest scene is like one day, one night, there's like a corpse on the side of the road, and like I added a note, be like, put some spooky eyes in the background at night. Like, come on, you've seen a Disney film.
Yeah.
And so aside from that, no changes have been made. Right. And
are you asking, is that enough?
Sorry?
Are you asking, is that enough?
Was because we only have 23 pages of script, which means we can get away with 24. The question is, do we add another page of forest is dangerous going there? Or do we add a page of, oh no, look, the forest is really dangerous alone when she goes off alone after the Ent attacks the rest of the party and she fucks off to go find a horse. So is she in danger alone, or is she in danger as part of the, or more in danger as part of the group? That's the only question we can really answer with that extra page, because if we try and resolve or even set up more of this emotional arc, this putative emotional arc, which Preston now asserts exists, we need to do a page one rewrite of the entire thing and actually make it about Thora, which clearly it's not. This is Thora's adventures in somebody else's world. And I'm okay with that. And it means you start off with plot and then make it character-driven decisions from there on out. And we've done that very successfully. We've got a couple of good hooks.
Yeah.
And we've got a good decision, which is a great cliffhanger. So, yeah, what I was asking was like, do we think we should make the beginning of the forest more dangerous to like justify her not murdering Edmund in his sleep? Or do like we add a page of, no, seriously, the forest is bad near the end, and then she's kind of saved by the Kelpie, giving her a reason to trust the Kelpie. Either that, or there's just background spookiness, and that sort of dissipates in the general zone of the Kelpie. Like everything else is afraid of that guy. Sorry, did that all make sense?
So I think you're saying that the story could kind of run more or less as it is, just putting in some Scooby-Doo eyes in the background and a carcass by the side of the road, and that would be sufficient.
But perhaps, do we need to characterize the world more thoroughly? Is the question? Not some. This isn't really about the character. I mean, if this was a story about the character, we wouldn't spend so much time on things where the character is not really making decisions.
I mean, I think Sora makes a decision in virtually every scene she's in.
He spends a lot of time jousting and talking about,
which is fighting, for, in order to be a champion, and that's, that there are decisions being made. And then
this is totally a Samson just had his haircut story.
Right. Okay.
The magic is gone. The hair has been now what?
And now she has to start using her noggin and all alternate allies and stuff.
Now she has to make real decisions. But we don't see her being too much of a bully beforehand.
Right.
And that's fine.
Yes.
She's the police. She's allowed to be a bit of a bully. That's totally acceptable in this kind of world. So it's not an exceptional, obvious decision.
Right.
The obvious decision, the first one, is do we murder this guy while he sleeps?
Right.
And how do I respond to this girl who, for some reason, works for an evil empire and is very distressed about being sacrificial? And then, the cliffhanger, do I work with this force to kill everyone?
I think it's natural to be kind of bummed at the idea that you're going to be sacrificed.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
Okay. All right, cool. I'm glad we agree there. So,
I mean, those are the three moments where she's obviously making decisions.
All right. Anyway, so Larry and John, her decision not to murder Edmund in his sleep. Are we okay with Scooby Doo eyes, or do we need to add in more? And if so, where do we add?
I think I would want something bigger than Scooby Doo eyes.
Okay.
Like.
But you don't like the kitten doppelganger idea.
That is a monster in the monster manual.
Yeah.
It's like a tree with like a rabbit on it, and
there you go. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, and if you go pet the pretty bunny, the tree stumps you.
Yeah.
Well, you already have an end.
An angry tree, so we can't do that.
Well, but I don't mind. I could move the tree in earlier, and it could be a tree.
Only one angry tree.
Okay.
So I don't mind the monster fight. I don't mind a doppelganger fight, but I think if your objective of using the doppelganger is to have Thora kill something cute to shock and awe the audience, when we find out it's a doppelganger, that shock and awe is going to go away.
Okay.
Because she's not murdering a kitten for the sake because she's evil. She's murdering a kitten because it's a doppelganger disguised as a kitten.
So then, what should what should happen then?
So, I like the idea of maybe something stalking them, and then when when that magical horse thing finds her, everything backs off on that because it shows a power dynamic. That this thing is scarier than everything else, and everything in the forest is scared of this thing. I think that was something that Danny was one of the ideas Danny has. But maybe if
wait, hold up. How about this? What if she starts to see little horsey visions because the Kelpie wasn't just waiting for her to wander into the glade. The Kelpie was maybe being a little more proactive out there in doppelganger horse form, checking out stuff, being spooky.
What I was thinking was maybe something, not the Kelpie, something else.
Okay.
Is stalking them. Maybe a predator. Yeah,
like an owl bear. Owl bears are great, and just the description is owl plus bear. I mean, come on.
Sure.
So let's say it's an owl bear. Do they stalk, or are they stalk like cats?
Guys, just so you know, there will also be a monster manual that goes with this thing. So it's not going to be an owl bear. It's going to be a Preston bear.
Okay. So
it's going to unleash like litigation claws that just savage the fuck out of people. And they don't see it coming.
By an angry lawyer through the forest.
Right. Yes.
And John.
Okay, so this is what I would say. When they're going through the forest, they should see the remnants of this creature scattered everywhere. So they should see the remains of things that it ate and killed on the road.
Yeah, I've got some of that.
We should know that this thing is tracking them and stalking them.
Okay.
Thora maybe should figure out that this thing is stalking them and tracking them.
Okay.
So now we've seen the aftermath of what this thing can do. We know it's stalking them. That will give her, if she is doubtful that she can take this thing on her own, that will give her pause when it comes to killing Edmund.
Okay.
Then when she goes after the horse, the thing will start to stalk her even more because now she's separate from the group. So it'll go after her. Then we meet the Kelpie. And then this thing backs the fuck off and scurries away.
Okay.
Which then tells us that this thing that's been stalking them for days, that she was afraid of, is now more afraid of the Kelpie. So what that does is that raises the Kelpie's power threshold to us.
There you go.
That will allow the audience to be like, okay, so this thing that she was afraid of is afraid of this thing, and that'll give us a holy shit moment. And I think that might be what you need, and you don't actually need an actual action scene to build that up. I think you can use suspense and a little bit of horror to build that up rather than an action scene. And I think you can use that suspense and horror to give both the reason she doesn't kill Edmund and build up the Kelpie as something totally not to be fucked with.
Okay, I like that.
All right, so again, just to clarify, the direction here is the decision that you need to sell is we need Edmund.
Yes.
You should be using dialogue, probably with Gretchen.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are we going to do about it? Listen, something's stalking us. That kind of thing.
Okay.
Right.
And you've got an extra page of leeway here for something is stalking, there is more danger. Maybe show like an over-the-shoulder shot or something like from the beast's point of view,
right.
or whatever.
Yes.
Yes. And
lean into the monster horror.
There is a good reason not to kill Edmund, and that's what you're using your page for.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
All right.
And then as I said, have it back off when the Kelpie shows up, unless you want the Kelpie to fight it. But I don't think that's a good idea because I think you want to save that. I think you want the Kelpie to come out and do his thing later, so it's kind of more of a shock and awe thing. So, but if everything in the forest is more afraid of the Kelpie than anything else, I think that'll be cool too, and I think that'll raise your tension.
Yeah, you're definitely doing that also because that sort of thing needs to happen anyways. So yeah, John, thanks for that.
Sure.
There we go.
That's what I'm here for. Now, if only I could figure out how to do my own damn scripts.
I mean, maybe just take one of your 17,000 stories and go with it. That's how
or 17,000 versions of like 5 different stories.
Yeah. All right, Larry.
What you should do is take all the different stories that you started, put them on a Rubik's Cube, randomize it, then roll it like a 6-sided die, and just use the die that appear on the top.
All right, let's take a look at your script.
I'm probably gonna have to bounce early after this one, actually.
Well, we only have one.
Oh, good. There we go. Never mind then.
Never mind. Yeah. At some point, we will need to go find more writers.
I
can't carry this show forever.
You don't have to. I have pocket scripts. I've just been too busy to actually have time to edit anything that I'm not getting paid for. The roommate's move.
Oh boy.
So what, this is Dragon Warrior?
Oh boy.
I see this is definitely alliteration. And so what's the one, Johnny?
All right, John. What's all right, so we're starting outside Santa Monica All-Girls High School Day, and we got an angle of a sign showing the school's name. Well, yes. Okay. Yes. All right. See, now, instead of going angle, I would give it a nice descriptive line about the plaque on the wall. It's like aluminum letters scream the school's name for all to behold, and then we understand what the shot is, and we've used more artsy language. All right, but who wants to be Esther?
I'll do it.
Go for it.
Class, this is Julia Sue. Her father works at the Chinese consulate, and she'll be joining us for the remainder of the school year.
Wait, John, I like Sue. See, that's thinking. Way to go. Because, all right, never mind. A litigation joke there. Okay, fine. Go ahead. Classroom, Julia Sue. Okay, yeah.
You should probably read that out loud, Justin.
Julia Sue stands in front of the class next to Sister Esther.
Please be sure to make her feel welcome.
Julia bows. We need a Julia.
Larry, why don't you do Julia?
Thank you for having me.
You can go sit over there.
Esther points to an empty desk. Julia sits down. To her right is Megan Lang, who has no description other than the fact that she is to Julia's right.
She's just Megan Lang.
I actually took out all the character descriptions and I put them in a separate document.
Very well. Very well.
Is this your first time in the States?
Julia smiles and nods sheepishly.
Welcome. I'm Megan.
Sister Esther turns to the blackboard behind which displays several drawings of fossilized bones and an evolutionary progression.
We're continuing our discussion on modern synthesis, based on observations from fossil transitions.
Locker room day. Julia stands by her open locker, sizing it up. Alice Orion, followed by 2 other girls, enter.
So, you're the new girl?
Julia smiles and bows.
Yes, Julia, nice to meet you.
Alice looks Julia up and down before walking past her. Julia turns as 2 other girls walk up behind her, sizing her up and down.
It's tradition at Santa Monica High that I haze the new girl. Details will be forthcoming.
The girls laugh and exit the locker room. Julia stands up nervously, straightening her uniform. Interior mess hall day. Julia slowly enters the mess hall as the girls line up to get food being served by the kitchen staff. Looking around, she sees Alice sitting at a table with just her 2 friends. The rest of the girls seem to avoid her. Megan walks up behind Julia.
Hey, you want to join me for lunch?
Julie bows.
Yes.
You don't have to be so formal. Come on.
They find a table with some other girls, and Megan introduces Julia to them. Exterior schoolyard day. Julia sits nervously on a bench. Megan sits behind her, but talks with one of her friends, not entirely aware. Alice walks up to them.
I'm here to make a joke about hazing you earlier today.
Megan stands up.
I want you to stop hazing the new girls.
Or what?
It's okay. It's no big deal.
There's some chop sake action about to unleash here. Megan turns back at Julia as she stares at the ground. Slowly turns back, punching Alice in the face. Boom. The other girls grab Megan, throwing her to the ground. Alice gets back up.
Looks like I'm hazing you today, Toe.
Julia stands up.
Stop.
Or what?
Julia's gaze furrows.
Please leave her alone.
Oh, go ahead.
Ladies.
Alice turns as Sister Esther stands by the door. Alice?
Megan struck me.
She points to her blackening eye.
Go see the nurse. The rest of you get to class.
Just then the bell rings. The girls disappear, heading inside. As Julia passes Esther,
Miss Sue.
Julia freezes.
I'll see you in class.
Megan heads inside with the others.
I know you're being hazed, but I'm going to act like it's your fault, since I can't do anything to stop Alice.
Let them fight. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
I'm sorry, ma'am.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Yeah.
Don't let it happen again.
Julia bows.
Yes, ma'am.
Julia walks up the steps into the building. Esther lets out a long sigh. Hallway. Julia catches up with Megan.
Thank you, but you don't have to protect me.
It makes me angry the nuns won't do anything.
Why don't they?
Alice's father practically built and funds half the school. They can't operate without his money. When the market collapsed, he was the only one unaffected.
Unaffected?
Yeah, he didn't lose money. No idea how he pulled that off, but somehow he managed to do it.
Megan and Julia enter the classroom as Temperance Dimitrov whirls around, grinning maniacally from ear to ear.
Hello. Hello, ladies. Please, sit.
The girls take their seats.
Today, we will combine our previous lessons in order to determine the required velocity necessary to puncture an object with this.
Temperance shows a 7-centimeter diameter styrofoam balls in her hand. The girls giggle.
As a refresher,
Temperance throws the ball at Megan's head. It bounces off her at impact. The girls giggle.
Miss Megan, what is the formula for velocity?
Megan rubs her forehead.
Distance divided by time?
Temperance throws another styrofoam ball, hitting Alice in the head. The girls giggle.
Miss Alice, what is the formula for force?
Alice glares at Temperance, refusing to answer.
Miss Alice.
Alice groans.
Am I Alice? Mass.
You are.
No.
Mass times acceleration.
Temperance smirks at her.
Very good.
Temperance looks at her seat placement, picking up another ball. She throws it at Julia.
Miss Julia.
Julia catches the ball before it hits her. The girls, ooh. Temperance smiles.
What is the surface area of that ball?
Julia looks at it. Julia.
154 square centimeters.
Very good. Based on the information provided, how would you determine the necessary velocity this ball would need to travel to punch through a human being?
Julia gives Temperance a confused look. Knock, knock. A delivery man in a gray jumpsuit lets himself inside the classroom.
Miss Dimitrov, we have a delivery for you.
Temperance throws the styrofoam ball, hitting the delivery man in the head. The girls giggle.
Can't you see I'm in class?
The man waves her into the hallway.
Miss Julia, please start by writing the formula as best you can on the blackboard. I'll be right back.
Temperance exits the classroom. We can see her through the window, taking in large, exaggerated movements. Julia writes on the blackboard. Through the window, Temperance waves the delivery man off. She enters the classroom as the man walks off. Temperance stands behind Julia as she's finished the formula.
Very good, Miss Julia.
Julia turns around.
Of course, your ball would deteriorate upon reaching 340 meters per second.
Are you sure? Perhaps we should test that hypothesis.
Loading dock. The delivery man walks into the loading dock where two other men in gray jumpsuits stand on the bed of a pickup truck besides a 120 centimeter square wooden crate.
She's making us wait.
There's a collective groan between them. Interior classroom night. The bell rings. The girls gather up their belongings and head to the door.
Miss Alice, please wait.
Alice drops her shoulders, glares at Temperance until they are left alone in the room.
I have to work late, and I want you to go to the teacher's lounge and start your homework. But Miss Sage helps me with my homework. You mean Miss Sage does your homework for you? I haven't told Dad that yet. You're not my mom. You're not even my real sister.
Temperance throws a styrofoam ball at Alice's head.
There's only one thing Father truly loves in this world, and that's his company. Want to run that company one day, I suggest you take your education seriously.
Alice rolls her eyes, marching out of the classroom. Exterior loading dock night. Dr. Robert Harper steps on the loading dock. The three delivery men are playing poker, gambling with loose cigarettes while using the crate as a card table.
Larry, you can do Harper.
Sure. What the hell is this? Why haven't you taken down these down to the lab? Sorry.
Ask Miss Dimitrov.
The double doors swing open as Temperance marches out onto the loading. Harper is peeved.
What's the meaning for this delay?
Temperance slaps Harper in the face.
What the hell do you mean by sending them during school hours? The last thing we need is a bunch of men traipsing through girls' locker room. Let's go.
The men gather up their cigarettes. Interior locker room. Temperance enters the locker room. She walks to the center, spinning to ensure it's empty before waving Mr. Harper and the delivery men inside. Temperance walks up to one of the tiled walls. She knocks on one of the tiles, pop, it falls into her hand. She slides the other tiles around like a sliding square puzzle until there is a loud click followed by a bang. After replacing the missing tile into the open slot, the entire wall moves open to reveal a freight elevator. Temperance steps aside, and the delivery man opens the cage as they wheel in crate. Close up. As the delivery man passes one of the lockers, we can see a pair of brown eyes watching through the vents. Elevator. After the crate is loaded into the freight elevator, Temperance and Dr. Harper join the three men. The delivery man pulls the wall closed, closes the cage, and presses the down button. And is that 10 pages or is this 10 pages?
We start on page 2.
Okay. Locker room.
Okay.
Click. The locker falls open. Julia climbs out from her hiding spot. She slips off her shoes and grabs her backpack before walking slightly in her socks to the wall. She pushes on the wall silently in her socks to the wall. She pushes on the wall. Nothing. Julia knocks on some of the tiles, eventually finding the one that falls free. She examines it. A number 15 written on the back. The open space on the wall has a number 7 on it.
Whatever that is.
Yeah. She slides one of the tiles. Click. Julia presses her ear against the wall. She moves another tile. Click. A third. Clang. She moves the tile back. Click. Julia smiles. Interior electromagnetic laboratory. This underground lab. And again.
I know.
Okay. This underground lab has walls of cinder block. Cabinets and sinks run along one wall, while another features a large blackboard. In the center are 2 massive Tesla coils rigged up to an aluminum archway. The elevator reaches the lower levels. The delivery man open the cage and wheel out the crate.
How goes the miniaturization?
Not as quickly as we hoped.
Temperance walks the archway as the aluminum arch stands at 200 centimeters. The delivery men break open the crates, pulling out a large, heavy magnet, cylindrical in design. They're about the size of a large Bollinger dumbbell weights, and very heavy. All right, 10 pages.
10 pages.
10 pages. I feel that this was not bad. I felt like, I wasn't like feeling for Julia, but I could identify with Julia as, a child in school and kind of a somewhat harsh environment, although she seems to be sticking up for herself okay. Certainly seems to be making some interesting friends. And, hey, we've got crazy stuff going on in the school basement as led by Temperance, the evil science Nazi. So I liked it. I feel it's your strongest version.
Thank you.
Larry.
Yeah, definitely nailed the school vibe to it. That worked really well. I have to see where the rest of it's going. No. Yeah.
Danny?
Well, it's a start to a story.
It is.
Also,
that's what one could call it, yes.
Yes.
Given the wild changes in direction over the last few versions, I'm now officially withholding judgment on where it's likely to go.
There you go. That's what we call subverting expectations.
It's true. It's definitely not crazy.
Yeah.
It's definitely kind of what you expect. It's definitely a really, really weird scene too. After the KKK murder someone's dad.
What? That didn't happen.
I didn't know if that happened. Something happened on page
John,
1.
did on page 1? Did we see the Klan?
No, page 1 is the children's story.
There we go. Was the Klan involved in the children's story?
No, it's all the stylized thing that took place.
There you go. See, I'm telling you, we spin that off into a separate IP of the Luck Dragon.
Luck Dragon versus the Klan. That's what we need. Yeah, come on now.
I might look into that. I had so I don't. Unfortunately, I looked into it once, but Pete's Dragon is 100% a Disney IP. It's not based on any pre-fantasy like Little Mermaid or Sleeping Beauty and any of those.
Sure.
But when I saw the remake,
I love that one growing up, by the way.
The remake?
No, the original. I mean,
Oh.
it meant a lot to me as a child.
I love that movie.
I haven't seen the original in a while, but when I saw the remake, I got an interesting idea for a story. And that was, what if the dragon doesn't actually exist, but Pete actually has telekinesis and doesn't realize it, and his telekinesis manifests as a dragon?
So it's kind of like
So
Carrie.
maybe,
Okay.
kind of, except for the fact that it manifests in a dragon. So the dragon really only exists when Pete's around in order to mentally manifest it. So what he is seeing as a dragon isn't really a dragon, it's just a manifestation of his telekinesis.
I love it.
But that's not this story. That might be the dragon versus the KKK.
That'll be very well.
Way to go. That's a
Puff
perfect...
the Mag Dragon lives by the sea, fighting the evil
That's
Ku
what I'll
Klux
do.
Klan in a land
I will make a Puff
known
the
as
Magic
Dixie.
Dragon.
There we go.
That'll be my next comic, Puff the Magic Dragon.
So, you know, the bullying is weird. The nuns are sort of weird. The bully and the teacher being related is slightly weird.
That is weird.
But the evil lab is definitely doing mad science. So
yes. Look, that's cool. And I understand that Temperance is probably a bad person already.
Yes, so
and that's
was
good.
Successful.
Yes.
Alice or whatever the hell her name is definitely a bad person. That was successful.
Yes.
What Julie is doing there is unknown, so that's successful.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. They're clearly doing bad science. It's great. The school is a front. That's fine. I mean, there's a few other characters, and that's fine. I assume Megan is going to be the only friend. That works. Not a lot of setting. Like, I mean, some of your references are clearly dated and stuff, but like, there's not a lot of language there to be like, no, listen, guys, this is the 30s, or like whatever. Which, I mean, you're still in your opening chapter pretty much, so that would be nice to see. But you know, art direction,
more flavor text, flavor dialogue.
Get away with a lot. But like, yeah, random girls saying whatever. Oh, you'll never find a man like that. Like whatever, right? Like you're not even good enough to work as a telephone operator or whatever. Go be a laundress, you chink. I don't care how racist. Don't take that one. Like whatever. But like,
no, use that one. And if anybody gives you pushback, say
it's
Danny. Say Danny Gormy said it was okay.
God damn it. So you know, like some flavor text, some sort of idea of what's going on there. Like, oh, she's Russian? Isn't that weird? No, we're allies with the Russians now. Like whatever, right? And like so, like a little bit of that because like. Girl has trouble in school while probably an orphan. Sure. Girl has trouble in school while probably an orphan in hilariously racist early 20th century America is a very different, like, sort of characterization to the story, and that's not coming through in the script yet. But, you know, I mean, next week she's going to be a Power Ranger, so I don't know how many of these notes are going to be really helpful.
I am planning to tone down some of the racism. I didn't like the previous drafts got a little overly racist than I wanted to, and then Preston was like, you really need to go into it more, and I'm like, no, it's already over the line that I wanted to cross.
I will pull you back
so I'm going to pull back on that a little bit.
All right.
And kind of focus.
I didn't say dial the racism to 11. I just said the Luck Dragon meets the Klan is a pretty compelling idea.
No. It wasn't that line. It was back in an earlier version when you were commenting that I was only using one or two different slang words.
Right. Well, yeah. You do need to be more colorful. If there's one thing I know about racists, it's they kind of virtue signal to each other in how well and how many different slurs they can use about their particular ethnic group that they are attacking. See what I'm saying? Right. Yeah.
And I really didn't want to go down that road. So
all right, I understand. That is a bold choice.
That it is and,
right on the heels of Demonatrix. Don Lamont comes out with a new.
Why, you didn't like my
Explores the
sex
depths of
comic?
racism.
It's a racist comic, you motherfucker.
Right, that would work. So yeah, good idea on toning down the racism. I like that idea. Okay.
Yeah,
Good note.
so I decided that's why I decided to go in a different direction
Right.
with
Okay.
it. So, I think you guys, I have 10. I did write the other 10, the next 10 pages, so I'll present them next week. So I won't speak too much on them.
Yeah.
But it does build on what happens here, and so I think you guys. I don't know if you'll like it or not, but we'll see.
Before you get there, can I offer constructive?
Sure,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What does Julia want?
We find that out in the next 10 pages.
Okay.
But so I will say this. I rewrote this as an action spy thriller.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so one of the things that was really missing here that was really obvious in the last drafts is Julia's emotional through line, right? If you're starting this as an action spy thriller, go full James Bond. Start with the action scene and her overseeing the evil people doing the whatever in the lab. Let us get the miniaturization going.
Yes.
And then scene 2, she goes to school. Then at least there's a plot.
Okay, that's an idea. Let me know if after you read the next 10 pages, if you still think I should basically invert it, because that's where I'm going with it. And I was setting up the school first as a front, and then kind of easing people into it. But if you think I should start there, that's something we can talk about next week after you read the next 10 pages.
Okay. I will keep I'm assuming the next 10 pages are the same story, so I'm going to keep my reference point like proper James Bond spy thriller type stuff. Yeah.
Basically, that's what I'm going for. And I also have, and the next 10 pages would basically finish what's going to be issue 1. So that kind of will be how I'm foreseeing it at the current time, going into it and then ending it. So you'll have to let me know how it all works. And
yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Oh, yo, John, did you end up watching that film?
I haven't yet. I meant to, and then I got busy and distracted with other things, but I am definitely going to.
You've got to watch that for the next time you end up accidentally writing something Gonzo.
What's the name of it again? Jesus and whatever? Or...
Jesus shows you the way to the highway.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
And I'm actually not entirely opposed with this series going Gonzo. I just don't want it to start off too much, because I think maintaining it is. I think
it's hard, but it's really rewarding if you can pull it off.
What I'm kind of thinking, what I have an idea for, is to have Temperance kind of go off the deep end. And I think as she gets more psychotic as the story goes, I think I'm thinking about tonally shifting the story with her, her drift out of reality, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Oh, I see.
So rather than have her start out being Gonzo crazy and then I have to basically maintain that for 5 issues, I'm kind of thinking is having her start off borderline, and throughout the story, eventually she'll kind of get there. Thinking about
she's really being a mad scientist.
Yes, she's clearly doing. I'm clearly doing the mad scientist thing. I'm kind of thinking something along the lines of like William Dafoe in Spider-Man. Like he kind of.
That's just mad scientist generation. You have to go Gonzo. You're going to do that. That's like mad scientist evil plot. That's what you're suggesting. and just
Well, he kind of went off the deep end and then started doing all the crazy things and
Like Marlon Brando in The Isle of Dr. Moreau.
I don't think I've seen that.
Anyone seen that? It's a notorious flop.
It is an absolutely notorious flop.
So you're the
Oh,
person
really?
Yeah.
My dad has seen almost every Marlon Brando movie and pretty much made me watch them, but I don't recall ever seeing that one. So maybe it's because it was that bad.
It was really bad, and part of
I've seen
it,
worse.
So Marlon Brando was just openly insubordinate to the director, and at one point films a scene wearing an ice bucket because he just feels like his character would do that.
Yeah.
There's a scene where Marlon Brando's wearing an ice bucket.
The makeup is hilarious too in that movie. But anyway, yeah.
I will have to check that out.
Okay.
So that was actually offset shenanigans that ended up on set.
Yeah.
Yeah. And meanwhile, you had
actually kind of worked for the character.
Yeah.
But,
you had Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
Who, starts on the movie and then gets served with divorce papers, and so he's freaking out, and he doesn't want to be there. Like he's like, I want to not be in my contract anymore. Please, can we get out of this? And they're like, nope. And so he does not want to be there at all. He's completely phoning it in. There are all kinds of stories behind him just being in his trailer, out of his mind on stuff. And anyway, so yeah.
I will have to make sure I watch that along with Jesus and Going to the Highway.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I was thinking about taking this. See.
Well, look, how many times are you gonna have people tell you know what, Marlon Brando, I'll Dr. Moreau, go for it. So
it's true. It's pretty deep cut.
I might even parody a scene, like if buckets. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, Marlon Brando did it. Right.
Exactly. I could have her walk in with a bucket on her head just for a scene not have anybody mention it. Just have her.
There were so many script changes. I mean, it's one of those examples where you had people under contract, like both of you, Brando and Val Kilmer, were both under contract to do the movie, but did not want to do it anymore. So at one point, Brando just tells everybody, you know what? The script has been rewritten so many damn times, and I'm sure it's going to keep being rewritten. So he refused to memorize any more lines. He's like, no, I'm done. So they had to like a radio earpiece, and they would read him his lines so that he could deliver it. And sometimes the radio would go astray, and he would just read out like the shopping report at Kmart or whatever. And it's a whole bunch of scenes of the actors not giving a fuck, and it's
and it all ended up in the movie. Yeah, I mean, none of it ended up on the cutting room floor.
I mean, look, you had to make a movie out of something, So it was.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess the studio wanted their money, and they paid for the names, and that's all that mattered to them.
Yeah. Well, the studio wanted a good movie, but like when you get certain personalities involved and stuff and things, and stuff gets muddled. Right,
but I'm sure at the end they were just like, it's a Marlon Brando, Val Kilmer movie. It'll make money. Just get it out there.
Yep. Precisely. Anyway, all right. I think we only have one script today. Unless I'm wrong. Unless somebody has like a.
I don't think so. I know that. What's his name? Was it Will? I think said he might have something.
Yeah,
but he never did drop anything.
He never did. He never did. I can't wait to see what happens with the boy who can turn into candy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey everybody, it's been Press Pulitzer Podcast Comics. I want to thank all my guests for coming on. John, I want to thank you for again submitting a script. And
hey, somebody's got to do their part.
Someone has to do so. Tune in next week, and we'll see what exciting character arc Julie ends up in. Right? Sound good?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care.